It's time for Voice of Indie. Your hosts today are Beem Weeks, author, producer, and marketing monster for independent multimedia publisher Fresh Ink Group, and Stephen Gies, author, producer, composer, and publisher for Fresh Ink Group.
Happy Hump Day, everybody. Yes, yesterday was Tuesday and we were live, and today is Wednesday and we're back at it again. And guess what? We're 2 for 2 this week. Both shows went on the air at the right time. So welcome to episode number 201 of the Voice of Indie podcast. I'm your host, Beem Weeks, and with me with his phone binging in the background there is Mr. Stephen Gies. How you doing tonight, Stephen?
I'm doing great. I'm totally worn out. Back-to-back podcasts. This is just, I'm too old for this, but no, we're having a good time. It was great that we didn't have any technical problems. We had a great interview with Colleen M. Story yesterday. It was the first time we met her, and we liked her. She was pretty cool. She's got her stuff together. She's a good author, good writer's resource, and she plays the French horn. How can you argue with somebody who plays the French horn, huh?
Yeah. So if you missed that episode, I just archived it this afternoon. Get over there to YouTube and the usual places for the archives, which I'll be playing the bumper for that here pretty soon. And check it out if you missed it. So like Stephen said, a lot of fun last night, a lot of fun.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to take 3 days off this weekend. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday I'm going to Indiana and meet some friends and do some fun things and try not to spend more than an hour or two in the hotel on my laptop each night catching up on Fresh Ink Group stuff. But for the most part, I'm looking forward to a few days off. Tomorrow is going to be a work day for me, but it's one of my funnest kind of work days. We've got a young up-and-coming photographer under contract with Fresh Ink Group who's producing 2 books. We started out with contract for 1, but he's expanded it to 2 photography books. One's going to be decrepit buildings around North Alabama, things that are falling down and woods are growing in them and all that. And he's got drone shots, and he's a professional photographer. He's done jobs for others and stuff. And he's getting some real cool shots, but he also is a train fanatic. And he knows more about trains than most people in the business have forgotten. And he's been getting some cool shots of trains, like particular engines that are rare, and he'll find out that they're going to be at a rail yard. So he's been calling me up and getting me to take him out and get some of these pictures and stuff. So we've been, violating federal law, sneaking into rail yards and doing shots and whatnot, and just having a good time. We're going to do that again tomorrow. So hanging out with Braden is very cool. Looking forward to putting out these 2 books probably about the end of the summer. Those will be by Braden Green, Greene. So go Braden. Get out there, get those shots, and we'll get those books out. But I'm definitely going to have some fun this weekend.
Oh, cool! Yeah, that sounds cool. So we'll be having a few photo books with Angie Birmingham's book coming out before too long. We do have The Nurses. Book 1 of The Nurses of the Krieg is out. So that's by Anna Morgan. That's a World War II historical fiction. So check that out. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, we got a couple more books that have recently come out in the past month or so. A Beggar's Bargain by Jan Sykes is really doing very well. It keeps up there in the upper numbers on the bestseller list right now. And she's been out hawking it quite a bit, doing a book tour in Missouri and meeting with some people. She's from South Texas, Plano, Texas, but she's been traveling out of state to hold some events and doing very well with that. So go Jan Sykes. She's going to take a break from blogging so that she can get this second book in her Bargainers series completed, hopefully by the end of the summer. We're looking forward to publishing that. And here's the big one. We've got another book that just came out this week, just a couple of days ago. It's called Mr. President, I've Got Your Back, and it's about the First Ladies of South Carolina State University. Now, this is by 2 former First Ladies, Abigail H. Uguinny and Mary L. Smalls. Now, Abigail H. Uguinny was also the First Lady when her husband was president of Alabama A&M University. So this first book, it's a look at the history of the university and the role that the First Ladies, rather than the presidents, played, all the way back to its inception at South Carolina State College. And then Abigail is also working on a similar book that's going to be about the Alabama A&M First Ladies, too. But the one about South Carolina State University, it's been out for a couple of days now, the Kindle, the hardcover. And this is a big book, so it's a case laminate hardcover, and softcover is also available, too. So watch for that, people. Mr. President, I've Got Your Back. Now, Abigail Hughini, one of the two co-authors on this one, also has a book that we published called There Must Be Something in the Water. And this is about the descendants of slaves in the Green Pond, South Carolina area, which is what they call low country over there by the coast, and how 40-something of the descendants of slaves who grew up in near poverty in that area went on to accomplish great things, get degrees and start things and build things and just things that they should be very proud of. So this is an African-American history kind of a book, but it's also motivational for young people. And that one's called There Must Be Something in the Water. And I noticed when we started the buzz around Mr. President a few weeks ago that sales of There Must Be Something in the Water started creeping back up again. Yesterday they were in the top 6. That book was in the top 6, if I remember right. And yesterday, Submariner was our #1 print bestseller for the week. Let's see if There Must Be Something in the Water is challenging Submariner for that top spot when we get to our top 25 bestseller list. But again, Mr. President, I've got your back. We're very proud of this book. It's out now. Go check it out.
Yeah. And listeners, if you want to be part of tonight's show, if you got a question or a comment for Cheryl Carpinello, we would love to have you be a part of this program. So you can call or you can tweet, and here's how you go about doing all that.
Call 516-453-9902 right now with your questions or comments for tonight's guest, or post a note on Twitter with #FreshInkGroup in the body of the tweet, and we'll read it on air. That's 516-453-9902 or #FreshInkGroup on Twitter.
Yeah. Okay. Here's another one that we've got out: A Light in the Darkness, which seems to be doing pretty good. This is by Tina Reese. Tina is a special needs adult. She's in adult foster care, so to speak. She's got a guardian and whatnot, and her calling is to write words of encouragement to other people when they're down or when she's just thankful. She's a very thankful soul. So she wrote some poems and some words of encouragement, and we put them together in a book for her, and it's called A Light in the Darkness. Poems and Words of Encouragement, or Words and Poems of Encouragement by Tina Reist, R-E-I-S-T, Tina Reist. So if you want to lift somebody's day, go over there and grab a copy of that.
Yeah, Tina should be very proud of what she's accomplished because we're very proud of her as well. So check that book out.
Yeah.
We also have an audiobook that just came out in the last few weeks by Cheryl Carpinello, The King's Ransom Tales and Legends. And this is aimed at middle schoolers primarily, although even younger would enjoy it and even older would enjoy it. And frankly, I enjoy it. So I'm 60-something years old. I'm not going to put an age range on this one. But The King's Ransom, Tales and Legends by Cheryl Carpinello. She already had the books out, and then we helped her put together the audiobook with movie star Ethan Drew as the narrator. And Cheryl happens to be our guest tonight. So we're going to talk about this audiobook after we bring Cheryl in.
Yeah, so also Robert G. Williscroft, he has his 3rd and 4th Ort Chronicles, Ran, A Civilization in Hiding, and Keys, A Lost Civilization. Those are both out now, and get over there because he's a great writer, great science fiction writer, great military writer. So get over there and grab those. I'm also currently working on his audiobook for Ran. So keep your eyes and ears open for that in the newsletter and wherever Fresh Ink Group pops up. Like on this show right here, we'll be talking about it. So Ran will be out in an audiobook before too long, and both Ran and Keed are now on Amazon and wherever you buy books. Yeah,
now those that audiobook that you're working on, narrator is Trent Bennett, professional voiceover artist who does the Williscroft audiobooks. And he also does the voiceovers for the book trailers that we make for Williscroft. He's going to be a guest coming up in the next about a month, something like that, Beem?
He's going to be a guest in 2 weeks.
Oh, 2 weeks, great. We had him on the show before, and he talked a lot about how to produce audiobooks, how to work with narrators, how to get them marketed, and different options for how people can structure the business of producing and selling audiobooks or whatever, and that was a very popular episode. He's going to come back and talk about a lot of things, including his own projects, but he's going to talk about that and update us on what's going on with all these new AI-generated voices being used to produce audiobooks as well. So if you're interested in audiobook production, that episode with Trenton in a couple of weeks is one you're not going to want to miss. And speaking of Robert G. Willis Croft, we've been reissuing his Star Child trilogy books and his Daedalus Files books. He had previously published the Star Child trilogy under his own Starman Press. We published the Daedalus Files under Fresh Ink Group. Now he's consolidating all four of those into the Star Child saga. So it's books 1, and then book 2 is the Daedalus Files, book 3, and then those 3 are out. Book 4 is going to be coming out soon. That's the Iapetus Foundation. And I don't know, Beem, I'm hearing rumors that he might be working on a 5th one for the Star Child saga.
Yeah, I'm hearing those rumblings.
Yeah. So we're looking forward to that because those are great books. They're also groundbreaking in many ways. He introduces some scientific concepts that, early on when he was talking about stuff that now is starting to get a lot of attention, especially the slingshot, ways to possibly sling spaceships and cargo and things like that into outer space. So if you're into that stuff, Robert G. Willis Croft is your writer. Check it out. And as Beem mentioned, he's working on that audiobook, which means he'll be doing the Key audiobook next. And you want to keep up on all this stuff, it's going to be in our newsletter. Just read our newsletter each week and you'll know what's coming.
Yeah, and if you haven't subscribed to it, what's wrong with you? Here's how you can do that.
Stay on top of these podcasts and all things Fresh Ink Group with our weekly digital newsletter. New releases, videos, stories, excerpts, interviews, and more. Sign up now on the homepage of FreshInkGroup.com and be the one who knows what's what.
What? All right. Now we've got a bunch more books coming out. They're stacking up. We got Pandemonium in Puzzle Town by B.A. Johnson. And B.A. Johnson's going to be on the show here before, too. She's going to be next week. She's our guest next week. Yeah, so Pandemonium in Puzzle Town, we're trying to get that out by the time the show rolls around. Miratambo Moonsong by Michael Filippello. That's coming pretty soon. That's a children's book for younger children. It's kind of a rhyming book. And Journey Through the Lens, I mentioned this earlier, A Creative Guide to Wildlife Photography by Angie Birmingham. A book on photography and not just cool pictures, but how to take these pictures and what some of the equipment is. And she's quite skillful at that, so keep your eyes out for that. Nowhere to Go But Tomorrow, which is a novel by Nell Cooper. And if you listened last night, Nell Cooper called and had some really interesting questions for last night's guest. So we were glad to hear from her. And Loretta Spencer, A Passion for Service, a candid memoir by the first woman mayor of Huntsville, Alabama. That's coming soon. And that's kind of cool because that's like it says, it's a memoir. And it's a look at this incredible woman who became mayor of Huntsville, Alabama, and she's got a lot to say, so check that out.
Yeah, now over on Twitter, Verwayne Greenhoe has joined us, he and his wife. He says, the wife and I are here after a series of heavy rain, causing us to do nothing but sit under the trees and talk about stuff. I managed to get 1,200 words into my latest romance story until the storm started. Since then, we haven't done a thing. What a wonderful day. Man, I'm jealous, Verwayne. But then again, I'm going to sunny Indiana this weekend, so hey, who wins that contest, huh?
Did you see Robert Willis Croft threw a tweet out there as well, and he's saying it's the Iapetus Federation, not Foundation.
Oh, no. Well, see, we just publish them. We don't actually look at them, Yeah, that would not be the first time I have confused a Willis Croft title, and it will not be the last. So good thing he's out there checking us as we go. Yeah, thanks for the tweet, Robert. Now, let's take a quick look at what our top 25 print bestsellers are. Those of you who listened last night heard last night's list, so there probably be a lot of similarities. But, man, as we work our way toward the top, I'm real curious to see what's going on between Mark Herndon and Jerry Pate's Submariner and Abigail H.U. Guineas. There must be something in the water. But let's start with 25. We've been talking about Robert G. Willis Croft, Operation Ivy Bells, a Mac McDowell mission. That's the first of 4 in his Mac McDowell mission books. I heard he's working on a 5th one. Those are submarine Cold War thrillers. And you talk about, submarines, most of the books take place underwater or around the water. And the audiobooks for those are especially fun. They're narrated by Trenton Bennett, who I mentioned earlier, and a whole lot of sound effects that Beem has to learn the difference between all the different kinds of creaks and sounds and things that subs make so that they are authentic. But Operation Ivy Bells and Mac McDowell Mission enters at $25, and Beem, it's the hardcover. It's a novel in hardcover. Okay, working our way up the list. Kenneth Lindquist, How to Teach Driving, the Parents Edition. And he's also got an instructor's edition, which tends to be in our top 25 as well. I've got a grandson with a driver's permit right now, so I need to dust off my copy of this thing and see what's going on. Now, 23, Jerry Pate, retired U.S. Navy Lieutenant Commander, has the hardcover edition of Submariner, 30 Years of Hijinks and Keeping the Fleet Afloat, which is a 60-chapter memoir about his experiences in the Navy and being chief of boat of a submarine. So that's the hardcover. I'm kind of curious how close to the top of the list his softcover is going to be. But David Carroll. Can you guess which David Carroll it is, Beem?
I Won't Be Your Scapegoat.
David Carroll's Homemade Social Media Blunders. Yeah, that one's a fun book. It's just full of laugh out loud of blunders, misspellings, misstatements, things on social media, funny signs and stuff like that. And I enjoy those kinds of things. Now we've got Robert McKenzie, The Chair Volume 1. That's the first of 4 books in his Chair series, which Kathy Ireland was out there tweeting about, thoroughly enjoying. She was reading them on a plane one time, and he's kind of proud of that. But anyway, those first 4 books are out. We're working on number 5 right now, looking to have it out at the end of the summer. And rumor has it he's been getting antsy and thinking maybe there might be his number 6. So we'll have to see. But right now, number 1 is on our list. Above that, Tina Reist, A Light in the Darkness, Words and Poems of Encouragement. And Beem, that's the hardcover out there making some noise. Yeah. Now, above that is a book that we published right at about 9 years ago, I believe. And it did well for a while, and then it kind of dropped off during the pandemic. It's back in our bestseller list again, Behind the Smile, Exceptional Poetic Renderings by Richard W. Jenkins. He's a Texan. Wouldn't be the first Texan we've published, would it be?
No. We got a bunch of them.
A bunch of them. Yeah, they're thick as authors down there. All right, we've got Anna Morgan's The Nurses, Nurses of the Creek, Book 1, paperback edition, and then above that, Nell Cooper's Princess Lil. Now, as Beem mentioned, Nell called into the show last night using her real name, Judy Ike, and, Nell Cooper's her pseudonym for publishing purposes, but Princess Lil is a chapter book aimed primarily at little girls about a pony who is being bullied. And we published this one so long ago, I couldn't even guess what decade. It was one of the first books Fresh Ink Group published for outside authors. Because I had originally started this just for my books and a few friends or whatever, but then people kept saying, hey, can I get in? Hey.
This one was 2013.
2013, okay.
Yeah.
That's,
I believe that was one of the last ones that Ann Stewart did.
Yeah, and I think that might have been a reissue from doing it earlier, too. But at any rate, that's Nell Cooper's Princess Lil, and then above that, the hardcover edition of Nurses of the Creek, Book 1. And that one kind of boggles my mind a little bit, because that's a long book. That's like 569 pages, if I remember right. It's way up there, which means the cover price has to be high in order to cover the printing price. So when you're buying a novel and spending a lot of money on it, spending extra to get that hardcover, that doesn't happen that often. So we're pleased to see it has. Now, next one, How to Start and Run Your Own Food Truck Business in Florida by A.K. Wingler. She's also got Tennessee and Georgia in her food truck series. Then the paperback of A Light in the Darkness, Words and Poems of Encouragement by Tina Reist. So we're getting up here to the top 8 now. At number 8, Celebrate 98, the Untold Stories Behind the Tennessee Football Vols' 1998 National Championship by Dave Hooker. And Dave's book is out there continuing to show that college football fans are fans year-round. You don't have to be in the fall when they're actually playing in order to have an interest in your team, the history behind it. And Dave put out a great book for Tennessee Vols and college football fans in general. We've got the pictures, the inside stories. It's very cool. I mentioned Kenneth Lindquist's How to Teach Driving Behind the Wheel, Lesson by Lesson, the Instructor's Edition, is at number 7 this week, and it's the hardcover edition. So we keep seeing the hardcover of that one doing well. People are buying that book with the intention of using it over a period of time. Keep that thing on the shelf almost like a reference. Top 6, Beem. We've got the hardcover edition of a Country Music Hall of Fame drummer. What book would that be, Beem?
That would be The High Road by Mark Herndon,
The
former
High
drummer
Road.
of the supergroup, country group, Alabama.
Yeah, The High Road, Memories from a Long Trip. And he tells all the behind-the-scenes stuff. You know, he starts with growing up and getting into music and being a military brat with his father in the Air Force and whatnot. But then he tells the stories, all behind-the-scenes stuff of the band. And Mark, a lot of people don't know this, but Mark's also a professional pilot, commercially licensed pilot. So during some of those Alabama tours, he was flying the tour plane. And he's got some almost famous style stories to tell about that. Now, by the way, if you're hearing a beeping here, I'm wearing a new glucose monitoring system, and I have no control over this other than to turn it off. So here we go. That brings us to top 5. American
Put
Agony.
the candy bar down.
Yeah. American Agony, The Opioid War Against Patients in Pain by Dr. Helen Burrell is at our number 5 slot. So, Helen, if you're out there listening, and I think you probably are, pretty cool. I mean, this book's been out, what, a year and a half, almost 2 years now, I think, and it's still bouncing up and down up there in that bestseller list, so pretty cool.
And Helen is indeed listening. She's on hold. This is how she listens each week.
Yeah, all right. We're glad to have you aboard, Helen, and congratulations on your book still doing so well after all this time.
Woo-hoo.
Now, top 4, let's talk about Kenneth Lindquist again. How to Teach Driving, the Instructor's Edition, paperback edition, is at number 4. And then at number 3, the paperback edition of Mark Herndon's The High Road, Memories from a Long Trip. So we published that one, I believe, in 2016. Yeah, 2016, I think. And it's still one of our best-selling books. So congratulations, Mark. So that gets us to the top 2. Number 2, Submariner. 30 years of hijinks and keeping the fleet afloat by retired U.S. Navy Lieutenant Commander Jerry Pate, paperback edition. Yesterday it was at number 1. Today it has been pushed down to number 2 by Abigail Miriam Hamilton Huguenis. There Must Be Something in the Water. Anthology of 4th generation descendants of Green Pond after the emancipation. And it's the paperback edition. Congratulations, Abigail. Your book's out there holding the number 1 spot today.
All right, fantastic. Congratulations to all those authors. And listeners, if you missed an episode, what's all that cracking down there? If you missed an episode, if you didn't know that we were on last night, which we blanketed the whole internet, so you should have known, but if you weren't able to tune in last night, we've got an archive, and you can check out all of our episodes from the past 3+ years. And here's how you can find our archive.
Find your favorite show in the Voice of Indie archive on YouTube at Fresh Ink Group, StephenGees.com, BeamWeeks.com, FreshInkGroup.com, and on Spotify. And now you can listen on iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, and tune in. Just search The Voice of Indie, all one word.
A shocking proposal that changes everything. Desperate to honor his father's dying wish, Laken Martin vows to do whatever it takes to save the family farm. Once the Army discharges him following World War II, Laken returns to Missouri to find his legacy in shambles and in jeopardy. A foreclosure notice from the bank doubles the threat. He appeals to the local banker for more time, a chance to rebuild, plant, and harvest crops, and time to heal far away from the noise of bombs and gunfire. But the banker firmly denies his request. Now what? Then the banker makes an alternative proposition. Marry his unwanted daughter, Sarah Beth, in exchange for a 2-year extension. Out of options, money, and time, Laken agrees to the bargain. Now he has 2 years to make a living off the land while he shares his life with a stranger. Read A Beggar's Bargain, Book 1 in the Bargainer series by best-selling author Jan Sykes. Available worldwide from multimedia publisher Fresh Ink Group in jacketed hardcover, softcover, and all ebook formats. A Beggar's Bargain by Jan Sykes.
In 1933, Berlin and Munich, 15-year-olds Katerina and Maria, who have never met, share the same dream, to become nurses who care for all regardless of race, creed, or color. They achieve their dreams, but their determination to rise above prejudice brings them into conflict with the authorities and very close to danger of arrest. As a result, they both find themselves sent to the same hospital in France, more for their own safety, where they meet unexpectedly and become firm friends. They look so similar to each other that people often mistake them, which leads them to play tricks on the people they meet. The nurses find themselves on the Mediterranean Sea bound for North Africa. Misfortune strikes when their ship, the Queen of the Sea, strikes a mine and begins to sink. Alone and adrift in a life raft, Katerina and Maria want to help others live, but that will never happen unless they find a way to survive. Read The Nurses, Nurses of the Creed, Book 1 by Anna Morgan, proudly published worldwide in jacketed hardcover, softcover, and all ebook formats by Fresh Ink Group. The Nurses by Anna Morgan.
All right. Yeah, get out there and grab your copies of all those books. Okay, let's introduce tonight's guest. Cheryl Carpinello is a lover of all mythology, myths, legends, and tales from the ancient medieval world. Myths and legends don't fade away. They are just repackaged for a new audience. As a high school English teacher, she challenged her students to find the connection between today and times long gone by. Some took more digging than others, but the connections are always there. Cheryl writes Arthurian legend for young readers and teens. Those stories exhibit what she considers to be cornerstones of that legend: courage, friendship, honor, and loyalty. Her tales from Egypt and her new series, Feathers of the Phoenix, meld the ancient medieval world with today. The Atlantean Horse, Book 1 of Feathers of the Phoenix, also brings the four horsemen of the apocalypse out of the Bible and into the modern world. Woo! Her grandpa's tales, short illustrated tales, help the youngest readers build their reading skills. The stories can be used with ages 4 and up to 7 or higher if your child is an emerging reader. Cheryl Carpinello gleefully admits to believing in magic and unicorns. Welcome back to the show, Cheryl Carpinello. We are so glad to have you back.
Hey, Cheryl.
Hi, thank you, guys. It's good to be here.
Yeah, now we have had you on the show one time before, so we know a little bit about you, but for listeners who haven't heard that previous show, why don't you quickly tell us, where are you? You're somewhere in the middle of the U.S., is that right?
Well, I'm in Colorado, just outside of Denver, and today it's like 90-some degrees here, and it's just awful.
Yeah, well, I'm in Alabama, and it was 92. I wasn't thrilled about that either. But hey, I'm from Michigan, and all I got to do is remember shoveling 3 feet of snow, and it's 92 doesn't seem that bad. But,
I'd rather shovel the snow.
Oh, would you? Are you
Yes.
from Colorado, or have you been elsewhere?
Yes, born and raised here.
Oh, cool.
Oh, yeah. And I swear today, if you looked up, you could see the snow melting off the mountains.
Wow.
Wow, what a beautiful view.
So, what kind of childhood did you have, Cheryl? Were you a reader back then? Were you into writing back then, or was this something
No,
that
I was
came
a
later?
reader. Most definitely a reader. I read everything I could get my hands on, and when Christmas came around, I would sneak into my parents' bedroom and find the books that they bought me underneath the bed and read them and then put them back under there. So they could wrap them.
Yeah, then on Christmas Day, you can, as you open, you just say, read it, drop it on the floor.
Oh, no, then I would read them again.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and you wanted to keep them, right? You wanted to have them on
Right,
your shelf.
definitely. I still have some of them.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Real readers usually have some books on a shelf that they just are never going to let go. And that's pretty cool. Like, one book that I have on the shelf that I think is pretty cool is an autographed copy of your grandson's insect book. What is that about?
Yeah, my grandson wrote that when he was, we published it when he was 10, so we finished it in the summer when he was 9 years old before he turned 10. he took all the pictures of his favorite insects, which unfortunately he found all in my yard, and then he did all the descriptions of what they looked like, what they ate, how they acted. He had a real good time with it. You know, and my grandson now is like your grandson. He's got his learner's permit.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, and he's a baseball player, so right now we don't have time for any more bugs. But, yeah, we had a lot of fun with that. Still do.
Yeah, well, you've got a second grandson and then 2 granddaughters coming after him, right?
Yes.
And are they showing any aptitude or interest in writing or insects or anything?
Well, the girls, I'm working on the other grandson for maybe a graphic novel of some sort.
Ooh.
He likes to draw a lot, and so when we get a chance, we're going to sit down this time and see what I can dig out of him to do for a graphic novel, just a short one. Not very long. He's 11, so, you know. But, yeah, I think that would be fun to do. And he does good. He's a good drawer, too, so.
Oh, well, that's terrific. And, you know, graphic novels and comics-oriented material right now is the fastest selling. In other words, the numbers are going up faster than any other genre or category of books right now. So there's a future in it. There's definitely a future in it. And it's also one of the best crossover kind of genres for getting into multimedia, you know, film, television, and other stuff as well, too. So, hey, we could all be borrowing money from your grandson someday, huh?
Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah. All right, listeners, we're talking to Cheryl Carpinello. She's an author. She's an audiobook maven now as well. And she's going to be telling us about some of the books she's got out and the new audiobook she's got out as well. So if you want to talk to her, have a question, make a comment, call in 516-453-9902. We'll put you live on the air talking to Cheryl. In the meantime, we're going to play a couple of ads.
I'm gonna hit a couple of these Twitter comments first before we go to the commercials. We've got one. Robert Williscroft is saying, "Hey Cheryl, high five." He's out there in Colorado as well.
Near
and
I just saw him 2 weeks ago. We were at the same author show.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All right.
We've known each other for many years.
Yeah, and Robert gets out there and works them, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
I want to be able to be out in that part of the country one of these days and go to one of those and see him at work, because I picture him being like a carnival barker out there in the aisles. Come on, people, come check these books out.
Yes, he does. And he's got some amazing graphics for his booths too.
Yeah, he does it right. We can learn a lot about author marketing from Robert, because he's out there always working it. What else you got on Twitter, Beem?
Well, I'm going to hold off on the second one because it's Robert McKenzie and he's got a question. So we'll play the commercials, and when we come out of the commercials, we're going to do 2 commercials. Come out of the commercials, and I will read Mr. McKenzie's question.
Princess Lil is a sad pony. Her little girl grew up and went away. Now Lil is in a scary place with lots of mean ponies. A fun furry farm cat called Taffy and a nice roan horse named Pearly try to help. It even looks like Princess Lil might have a chance to cheer up special needs children too, but she is already too hurt and too sick. Princess Lil is about the differences between loyal friends and those who bully others. It shows the power of caring about ourselves and the people who look out for us. Is it too late for a sad pony in a scary place? The answer just might depend on how much we all love Princess Lil. Grab copies of Princess Lil for all the little girls in your life. Available worldwide in softcover and all ebook editions. Or you can share the audiobook as read by author Nell Cooper. Princess Lil is proudly published by Fresh Ink Group.
When Aaliyah and Kehlani go from having fun to tussling, Big Mama puts it to rest, as fighting and bullying are plain wrong. Later, Big Daddy tells the girls about the photo of a man on the mantle. His name is Daddy Yo-Yo, he says, telling the girls about his late grandfather, who watched out for all the children in his neighborhood. Daddy Yo-Yo and the legendary marble tournament is about a group of boys having fun until Evil Eye Bucket Smith tries bullying his smaller rival, young Chucky Fry. Daddy Yo-Yo won't stand for it. He knows that looking out for kids also means teaching about pride, self-worth, and caring for others. From Fresh Ink Group and author-educator Janice D. Toney, the illustrated full-colored chapter book, Daddy Yo-Yo and the Legendary Marble Tournament is out now. Grab and share your copy in hardcover, softcover, or all ebook formats. Find out who the real winners are as we all learn the wisdom of Daddy Yo-Yo.
All right, so let me click this here, and we've got another comment here from Robert McKenzie. Or we're going to hold off on the McKenzie one until we get to that area of our discussion. So hold off, Robert. Robert Williscroft says, graphic novels are growing because people no longer learn to read in school. Wow. That's a scathing comment on society.
Yeah, kind of a broad generalization. Yeah, because I got grandsons in middle school and high school, and they're highly literate, very, very literate. So I don't know about that.
Now, speaking of reading and what's going on in school, Cheryl, you're a retired teacher, correct?
Correct, yes.
So how long did you teach, and do you miss that daily routine, that interaction with students?
I taught for 24 years, and I do miss the kids. I taught high school. I do miss the kids. What I don't miss as a high school English teacher is reading all of their essays and research papers. That was 24 years was enough of that. In fact,
I can imagine.
Yeah, I have people who come up to me because they've got a book and they want to know how it is. I said, no, I finished that part of my career a few years back. I don't even like to edit. But I do miss talking with the kids all the time. That's why I do a lot of in-person events, even though most of the kids I talk to now are younger than the high school age. It's so much fun to talk to them and hear what they have to say and what they're reading and what they're doing.
Cheryl, I'm going to interrupt you for a second. Beem, is she breaking up badly on your end?
Yeah, I can hear the breaking up. It sounds like she's coming through a little bit better towards the end there, but
except that you're breaking up the same way she was right now. I'm not understanding you either. I wondered if Cheryl maybe should call back.
Okay.
I can do that.
Okay.
Yeah, I missed most of what you said, Cheryl, so maybe hang up and call back, and we'll roll a couple of commercials and try to get you back in again, see if we can clear that up.
Okay. Doing it.
All right. So am I still breaking up as well?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to I'm doing my show. I'm doing my end on the phone as well, so I'm going to go ahead and hang up and call back again as well.
Okay. All right, people, we're going to hear some ads while we get the sound fixed. I hope we're going to hear some ads.
Think of your brain as a place to learn, like school. Turns out, the hippocampus is really one part of your brain that helps you make and save memories. The hippocampus, the interactive brain book, fun learning for science lovers, uses hippos to teach young readers all about different parts of the human brain. From keeping the heart beating and blood flowing to breathing and dreaming, your brain does many things for you, even when you don't think about it. This includes sneezing, sleeping, running, playing, and even digesting that meal you ate for lunch. But think about this. Without your brain, you couldn't smile or laugh or wink or read. The hippocampus helps you decide what's happening and what to remember right now. The Hippocampus by Helen Burrell, Ph.D., offers young thinkers and readers of all ages an easy way to learn all about that gray matter that matters most. Available in hardcover, softcover, and ebook editions, the Hippocampus helps us learn about our place to remember. The Hippocampus is proudly published by Fresh Ink Group.
Every person has a private life and a secret self. This is true of those we know and people we only know because they are famous. Discover fascinating, intimate, clever, witty, poignant, insightful tales from a diverse roster of notable women who dare reveal both the unknown and the previously undisclosed. But these are not gossipy tales. No, they are personal, anecdotal, always meaningful stories for quiet reading, sharing aloud, even performing from the stage. Compiled by Detroit playwright Jay Ajluni, Whoopi Likes Her Bacon Crispy, 65 fascinating excerpts from the memoirs of famous and infamous women is illustrated with whimsical portraits that capture these remarkable celebrities at their best. Choose your own from laminate hardcover, softback, and digital editions, all proudly published by Fresh Ink Group. Come away with a richer appreciation of these talented women and smile for permitting them to entertain you in unexpected and delightful ways.
All right. So how's this sound?
That sounds fine. You there, Cheryl?
Yeah, I'm here. Do
Okay.
I sound okay?
Yeah, you're sounding
Yeah.
good, too. Yeah, I'm going to ask you to kind of repeat what you said the last time. You were talking about how you write for reluctant readers and whatnot. And if you don't mind telling us about that again, I think that's important.
No, I don't at all. I do that. I taught the high school English for 24 years, and I had a lot of those kids in the classroom who didn't like to read. And so I decided when I retired that I would write for those kids at a younger age, and hopefully by the time they reached high school, they would at least enjoy a lot of reading, if not a ton of it, enough so that they could continue on through adulthood and still enjoy reading. I taught a lot of Arthurian legend. I taught a lot of the stories from the ancient world. And the kids that I had that really didn't want to pick up a book, weren't really interested in reading, those types of things really grabbed their attention. And so that's why I decided on those topics to do my writing with. And I enjoy it too, so it's been a lot of fun. And it's really a lot of fun to meet those kids in person when I do a lot of in-person events. And it's fun to talk to them to see what they're reading. I have a lot of repeat customers come back and, want the next book or the next two books, whichever. And so it's fun to talk with those kids and their parents, too, about reading.
Yeah. Well, can you tell us a little bit more about those events? What exactly goes on? What kind of events are they? How do you get people to come? And I'm also curious about the mix of boys versus girls, too.
Okay. I do a lot of craft fairs. For the past 3 or 4 years, I've done farmers markets here in Littleton. I do the craft fairs are that big events. Some of them are just at schools, and so. But I always get a lot of draw from the kids, and I also do classroom visitations. I go in and I teach medieval illuminated poetry, and the kids learn how to write a medieval based poem and illuminate it, which means they have to illustrate it. And so I get the boys and the girls get fully involved in that because they love to draw. And I don't limit them too much to their topic. We focus more on getting the poem written. I give them 3 different formats, and they can do that. And then we illustrate it to bring out their words. And so those are fun. And, of course, I do a lot of shows around Christmas time, too. My November and December are booked nearly every weekend.
Oh, cool.
And so those are always nice because I think books always make a really nice, no matter how old or young the people are.
Just as much interest from the boys as the girls? Is that equal?
Yes, yes, I do.
That's an accomplishment then.
They really do like my Young Knights. The King's Ransom is my best-selling boys' book. I do try to steer them towards my Guinevere trilogy by telling them they don't have to read the first one because it's got a blue and purple cover and a unicorn on it. And so I said, you don't have to read that one because there's enough in the rest. And so they will a lot of times will pick up book 2 and 3 of Guinevere and read those. But yes, they really enjoyed the format and the story of the King's Ransom. And I know I'm not supposed to do this now, but I'm so excited to have the audiobook out. I just think that that's going to help me reach a lot more, especially boys.
Well, Cheryl, we don't have rules. You can talk about anything you want. And now we're going to roll your audiobook commercial because we're talking about your audiobook.
All right.
Set in medieval Wales during the mystical times of King Arthur, 11-year-old Gavin and his friends are determined to prove their mentor, the Wild Man, innocent of murder. The youngest heir of Pembroke Castle, 11-year-old Gavin longs to prove he is worthy of knighthood, but he fears his own failures, and now he must choose between fleeing and fighting to save his friend. Gavin's coming-of-age story is full of mystery, intrigue, betrayal, and the charms of an eerie witch. Will Gavin earn his knighthood, or will evil challenge his very survival? Read the young adult chapter book, The King's Ransom, Tales and Legends, Young Knights of the Round Table, by Cheryl Carpinello, and now discover the audiobook, narrated by Ethan Drew, with music and sound effects. Produced and published by Fresh Ink Group. Cheryl Carpinello's King's Ransom, Tales and Legends audiobook is available worldwide.
All right, now listeners, there's a video for that trailer as well in the Fresh Ink Group channel at YouTube, so get over there and check that out. It's a very cool video, and if you know any young readers, they have them watch that video. They might get interested in the book.
Okay, I got a couple. I got another Twitter comment here, and this one kind of ties into it's about the the trouble with reading and all that for some of the younger people. And it's Verwayne Greenhill. He says, I'm with Robert. I worked with kids in the UP. That's the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. That's where he used to live. And a lot of them had serious reading problems. I gave out over 125 copies of Johnny Robot, Space Alien. And a lot of the kids had trouble reading a story aimed at first graders. So that's... maybe that's a Upper Peninsula thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the truth is there's just a broad range. You're going to get young people who have no interest in reading, those that are not good at reading. Exactly. And when you're not good at it, you don't develop an interest in it. And a lot of people who've never gotten the attention from other people who got them excited or interested in it as well. And as far as the graphic stuff, I mean, in my generation, you grew up, you read stories, and the generation that's growing up now, everything's visual. You see it on TV, movies, Netflix. It's constantly in your face. So when you're reading, you kind of like to have some visual support for it as well. So I think it's all over the place. Like I say, I know some high schoolers and middle schoolers that are scary literate. Like, wow, as young as you are, that's pretty good. So yeah, but,
back when I was a kid, when I was in school back in the 1970s, I was a voracious reader. But even back then, there were kids in the class that just didn't care about reading. They weren't interested in books and whatnot, but, a good chunk of us were. So, I mean, that's something that's been going on for a while.
Yeah, well, a lot of those kids needed somebody like Cheryl to come into the classroom and get them excited. Sometimes that's all it takes is one story, one book, or one adult who shares that excitement and gets them going. What do you think, Cheryl? Are we on the right track here?
Yeah, I believe so, yes. I think everybody will find what they like to read sooner or later, and that's what you have to do. They have to find what sparks their interest. I have a son who read like crazy when he was in school, in elementary school and middle school, and then when he got to college, his reading went into other areas, and he reads all the time now, but he reads newspapers, he reads blogs, he reads that sort of thing. He doesn't necessarily pick up a book, but he will pick up a comic book and read.
Yeah, that's cool though. I mean, however they want to get it, good. They're getting out there and getting it.
That's right. And I think a lot of them lose interest because they get berated for just wanting to read graphic novels, and you really can't do that to them. You got to let them be comfortable with what they're reading and hope that something that will pique their interest that will take them on beyond the graphic novels. Although, I was at a conference that I spoke at. We have the Colorado Teen Lit Conference here, and I was in an English classroom, and you're never going to believe what I found in that classroom.
Oh, what?
To Kill a Mockingbird,
Ooh.
Graphic novel.
Oh, cool. Oh,
yes.
Cool. Boo Radley, right there on the page.
I would have loved to have had that when I was teaching.
Oh, yeah, that's terrific. Yeah, I remember like when I was about 9 years old, for example, people were buying me kids' novels, like Lassie, series and stuff like that. And I would read those, and I would like them, and I think that's pretty cool. But I got to where I was not liking them as much and not that interested in reading. And one day I saw my mother reading a book by Arthur C. Clarke called Childhood's End. And I wasn't quite 10 years old yet. And I said, well, what is that? And, and she set it down, and I picked it up, and I was hooked. So by age 10, I was reading science fiction. I was reading Isaac Asimov and Heinlein. Heinlein's still one of my all-time favorite writers ever. And that's what it took. I went from losing interest in reading to, how many more books has this guy written?
Right. Yeah. You just got to keep encouraging and not discouraging.
Right. So let's talk about this audio book. Tell us a little bit about the story and what listeners would expect.
I am so excited for this book, this audio book. Ethan did a fantastic job, and you guys did a great job with the sound effects and the music. It just brings the King's Ransom to life, I think, and will bring it to life for a lot of kids who don't necessarily want to open a book, although many of them will have the book and the audio book so they can follow along. I'm thrilled to have this book in hand. It's the only thing I'm sad about is that these characters never talked to me again after I wrote their book. I was going to do this was to be the King's Ransom Book 1. Well, they never said they wanted a book 2. So I said, well, I've got other characters that are talking at me. I guess I'll go and do them. So I'm still waiting for these 3 characters to come back and say, would you please write more of our story? So we'll see if that happens.
Yeah, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and predict it will someday. What do you think, Beem?
Yeah, I think so. Because, I've written things, some of them were short stories or like my first novel, Jazz Baby, and that was it. And then, here I am more than a decade later, and I've got ideas for a sequel to kind of tie up the loose ends for that one. So, I mean, it takes a while, but, it might get in there. They might start talking again.
Might. Yeah, they may do that. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, now as many audiobooks as we've done, Ethan Drew is real exciting to work with. I mean, he's a movie star. He just starred in Camp Nowhere with Christopher Lloyd and Corbin Bleu. And literally, he was the main character of that movie, and he's got YouTube channels and other comedy things that he does and all kinds of stuff. And I think he's the right voice for relating to the age of your readers, and I think it's good to have a male voice like that to help bring the boys in as well. So Ethan Drew did a good job, and he was enthusiastic about it. Yeah. And we appreciate his working with us, too, because, see, he's a union, he's a SAG actor. And, in order to be in movies and TV shows and stuff, you got to have those cards, those union cards, and he worked with us on the cost of being able to do this audiobook because he believes in helping young readers get excited about those stories as well. So we appreciate Ethan, and we're real proud of how this audiobook came together.
Yeah, so Cheryl, why don't you tell us a little bit about the King's Ransom? What's going on in this story? Who are the characters and what are they doing?
Well, Gavin is, as it said in the trailer, he is the youngest prince of Pembroke Castle at 11. And so he is, he's very concerned that he may not be able to live up to his brothers who are older, and is hoping that he can. We have another character, Brian, who is desperately would love to be a knight. That's all he wants. And he, it's impossible for him to be one because it requires a lot of money back in those days to be a knight because you had to have a sponsor, and he didn't have one. And so instead, his parents set him up with an apprenticeship in the shop, the blacksmith shop there at Pembroke Castle, and so that's what he does. And then we have another young one that comes and disappears one day out of nowhere. There is nothing, no background or anything on this one character, and I'm this is awful, but I'm spacing on the third character's name. God, but the three of them are close enough in age that they become real good friends, and they pal around at the castle when they can, and then they have an older man who just appeared. That sounds awful, but it's not. he comes and he works with the church, and nobody knows where he came from. He talks very little, but he helps the kids with their sword fighting, and he listens to them and has become a real good friend. And when he is accused of murder and theft of one of the king's advisors, the three of the kids get together and decide that there's no way that this man could have done that. They call him the Wild Man. And so they take what they call the knight's vow on the sword and everything to prove his innocence or to die trying. They encounter a witch who has a strange premonition for each of the three about what's going to happen. They are very leery, but the fear of failure is not what they want with their friends. They want to save him and prove that he is innocent. So it's quite eventful. There's a lot of mystery involved, and they each really are proving their friend innocent for reasons of their own also, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So this is a good time to, since this is a book on, myths and legends and stuff like that, this is a good time to read Robert McKenzie's question. He's got a question for you about your writing process here, or at least for this particular book. He says, Cheryl, what do you go through in envisioning a tale of myth, legend, and lore that is attractive, interesting, and memorable to the readers as well as for yourself?
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Cover each of those points, Cheryl.
Yes, I will in detail. A lot of that is ingrained in myself because I taught it for so many years. And so sometimes I just take a little bit from a legend here and a legend there and put it all together and do a story. I knew a little bit about this special guy who is called the Wild Man that is not well known by a lot of people who are familiar with the King Arthur legend. And so I drew that in, and I thought, that's a really good character use. He's not really identified until the very end of the book, and so nobody knows who he is. And then I just kind of imagine my students and myself, what would happen to you if your best friend, one you thought was your best friend, was suddenly accused of something horrible? What would you do? Would you turn away from them, or would you help them? And kids think with their hearts first before they think with their heads. And so I think the kids would go all in and say, well, we're going to help this one because this is not right. He didn't do this.
Wow.
Does that kind of answer a little of it?
Yeah, I think it does.
Yeah.
Now, listeners, I want to point out, if you go over to Amazon, ACX, any of those, there's an Audible sample right there under the picture of the cover of the audiobook, so you could listen to it a little bit, see what you think, or see if you can get your young person interested. It's also being offered at a discount by Amazon right now. It's normally $6.95. Right now it's $6.08 with a 13% discount. So that's a very attractive price for $6. You can check it out.
Yeah. And talking about the Wild Man, when it's revealed who the Wild Man is, it might blow your mind. So you're going to want to read that one or get the audio book and listen to it.
Yeah.
We are talking to Cheryl Carpinello, and we're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we will delve into some of her other work.
You're listening to The Voice of Indie.
Hi, I'm Sean, and I'm 10. Ladybird is my beagle. Right from the start, I knew she had special powers, and that we could share secrets. I was the coolest kid at school before the accident hurt my ability to see. Then, I became a kid with special needs. I was not always close friends with the kids I started calling feel, hear, touch, and taste. I mean, we would play sometimes, but then I needed help learning a new way of life that takes friendship and trust. Ladybird helps a lot, especially since she has special needs too. Ladybird understands how each of us has our own challenges to rise above. I would really like to tell you about Ladybird and what she does for my friends and me. Our story is in the book, Ladybird, Sean's Sixth Sense, by Gracie Bradford. Gracie is a really cool grandma who writes these I Am stories about kids finding new ways to be their best. you should check out Gracie Bradford's books. A great one to start with is the one with me in The World's Coolest Dog, Ladybird, Sean's Sixth Sense.
I'm going to highly recommend that one. Fresh Ink Group does not publish any of Gracie Bradford's books, but she's a friend of ours, a friend of the show. We've known her for a long time, and we really believe in some of the stuff she's putting out there for young people. This is an excellent book, so check out some Gracie Bradford books.
Yeah. So let's see. What do we want to talk about first?
How about Grandma's and Grandpa's Tales?
Yeah, I was looking at that one. That one sounds pretty interesting. What's all this about the Grandma's and Grandpa's Tales, Cheryl?
Well, after I was writing for a while, I realized that I hadn't written for any of the beginning readers, and a lot of beginning readers really struggle. And so I thought, well, shoot, I need to do something about that. So I just kind of went back through the Grandma and Grandpa Tales, one, Wild Creatures in My Neighborhood, and What If I Went to the Circus, I had done for a writing class many, many years ago. And so I thought, well, they're short enough, and I can boost them up with some illustrations and stuff to make them, good for the kids. And so I started there, and then I went on to book 2. Again, I had several of these stories also. There's some that I had already written years ago, and I just brought back Singers of Song and the Not Too Stubborn Humpback Whale. I brought those back and just added some great illustrations and some different reading skills for kids to work on in those. And I really like how they go. Book 3 just came out, about came out in 2021. Vampires in the Backyard and A Fish Tale. And I hate to say this on air, but my Vampires in the Backyard came from one of my granddaughters when she was talking about, they were talking about bugs and things in the back seat. I'm not going to tell you what she said because then you'll know who the vampires in the backyard are. And A Fish Tale is my oldest grandson's story about the summer that he had a few problems fishing. And he said, Grandma, don't you dare write that. And I said, what if I do it and I don't say who it is? And he said, please don't do that. Well, I had to because it's such a cute story.
Yeah.
And again, all three
we're
of them
not mentioning that it's Cameron, are we?
No, we're not. I wouldn't say that.
No.
I never said that, so I'm not affirming either.
No, when he was 10, he was collecting bugs in the yard. Now he's collecting them on the windshield, right?
Oh, I know it. Yes. So, and for Father's Day, if people want to go to my website, Grandpa's Tales, I have the 3 of those on sale for $20.
Oh, okay.
For Father's Day.
That's nice.
All right.
And I say that's on my website. It may not be on there, but if you email me, then I can get them to you for the $20. Because I haven't gone in and changed my website. I just realized that they're still at the regular price of $26. So I will do that. Have people email me at ccarpinello@mac.com, and we can take care of that.
Yeah, and a lot of the listeners are people who are going to be hearing this in the archive in the coming weeks as well, and you'll have it on the website by then, I assume.
Well, we hope so.
Yeah, we can hope so.
I don't do too good.
Well, tell us about your Guinevere trilogy.
That book 1 of Guinevere, the one I was talking about earlier with the unicorn on it, On the Eve of Legend, is my number 1 bestseller when I go to places of all my books. They just love that. It was going to be just a one book series, not even a series, just one book, because my high school kids only knew 3 things about Guinevere all the years that I taught. They knew all about Arthur, they knew about Lancelot, they knew about Merlin. Guinevere, every year I got the same answer. She married Arthur, he cheated on him, and she was the downfall of Camelot. And I decided that's just not fair.
No.
And so this was the first book I wrote when I retired, to show this young girl of 13 who is surprised to find out on her 13th birthday that she's been betrothed to an older man.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how I would have felt about that, but I think I would have been horrified.
Yeah.
even though she knew that it would be coming, it's just one of those things that's like, oh, really? Do I have to do this? And she does. So book 1 is all about her figuring out how she's going to come to terms with this, and her best friend Sedwin helps her, as Merlin the Magician does also. And to go along with my love of unicorns, the unicorns end up helping her also, and her and Sedwin learn the legend of the red deer and the unicorns, which will tell young readers that there are unicorns in the world today and why you never see them.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then that was the only one I was going to write. And so after that one, I wrote The Young Knights. I wrote King Tut. I believe I also wrote Sons of the Sphinx. And I had these 2 characters in my head that just kept saying, you promised I could be a knight. When do I get to be that? And the girl would say, what's going to happen to me? Do I really have to get married and all of this? And finally I just gave up and I said, okay, guys, you and Sedwin get 1 more book. But after I wrote book 2, at the dawn of legend, the 2 of them were in such deep trouble that I had to write 1 more book.
Of course.
So Guinevere the Legend is book 3 in that. And I still get kids who come up to me and say, when's book 4 coming out? And I say, no, I'm done. No more Guinevere. She's all done.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that whole trilogy is it's really my bestseller.
Oh, that's cool. And all 3 are bundled on Amazon as well, so you can buy the whole trilogy as one purchase rather than buying the books separately. Mm. You mentioned King Tut. Is that Tutankhamun Speaks, Ancient Tales and Legends? Yes. And that's short. Is that short stories?
No, it's supposedly he talked from beyond the grave, and the scribes heard him and wrote down what he said. He tells them what his life was like growing up, what his time was like as Pharaoh, about his marriage. And then he answers that question that everybody else wants to know the answer to, but only he can answer it, how he died. And it's really historical fiction. I knew a lot about it, but I did a lot of research for that book also, too, to round out his story, so that it's not just this boy king, but it's somebody who has an actual personality.
Yeah.
And you get to meet him and hear him talk about the things that, I think one of the things he said, have you ever had something that really affected your heart very deeply? You had an incident like that. Have you ever done something that you wish you had never, ever done? And so he kind of answers some questions for you that you wouldn't think that a pharaoh from ancient Egypt would be talking about.
Yeah. King Tut, I was, as a kid, I was fascinated with that. Back in the 70s when Tut's Treasures was on tour here in the U.S.,
right.
I guess it was seventh grade history class, we actually did a whole semester on ancient Egypt, and it was just like, I was fascinated. I was hooked. So I studied and read and watched documentaries and all that, and to this day I still find that whole era to be utterly fascinating. Now,
well, and a lot of our schools here do a little ancient Egypt unit in 3rd, 4th, or 5th grade, and so I have a lot of kids at that age that will come up and they see King Tut and they want the book because they know who that is.
Yeah,
they know a little bit about him.
Yeah, he barely made it past his 18th birthday, so he's right in the pocket with your age group there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, I see here you've got this Tales and Legends writing journal. What's this about?
It's not about anything. It's blank pages.
Just blank pages? Okay.
Just for kids to write their own stories in.
And did you outline that or do that by the seat of your pants?
Kind of by the seat of my pants.
Okay, well, I'm also looking at an anthology here, Book Elves. Anthology Volume 2. I assume there's a Volume 1, but I'm not seeing it on my sheet here.
No, because I only contributed to Book 2.
Okay.
This came from authors in the U.S. and in England. And we were asked to do one story. And so in that one I did How Guinevere Gets Her Horse, Guardian of a Princess. And it's just a little short story that I made about how she finally gets her horse. It's at the end of Guinevere on the Eve of Legend. I've added it to that book, so the kids, when they read it, then they can read how she actually gets her horse, because she does have her own horse in books 2 and 3. It's a cute little story, I think. She gets her horse. Actually, it's a retired war horse that Arthur gives her. That's been in battle and has been wounded and just is retired because it just can't do all that work anymore with carrying Arthur in his armor and stuff, and possibly getting injured again. So he retires the horse and gives him to Guinevere.
Oh, cool. So you want to plug Cameron's book one more time?
Sure. If you like bugs, or you have a little guy that likes bugs, or a little girl, it is a great little book. Like I say, he took all his own bug pictures and he wrote all his text in there. And we had that all done, and we were proofing it. And the one thing that we did not have in it was a praying mantis because we could not find one. And so we put a praying mantis on the back cover. He always has signed the books inside with a praying mantis head. And 2 days before I was going to okay that to print, I was walking out of my daughter's house, and here comes this praying mantis up the steps. And
wow.
So
cool.
No, it wasn't cool. Me who hates bugs.
I thought it was cool.
I not only had to capture it, I had to drive it home in my car.
Oh.
And then keep it alive in my garage until Cameron came over. But we did finally get a praying mantis in the book, and so we went ahead and sent that on to print. And I can't remember how much it sells for on Amazon. I sell it for $6 when I meet people in my craft fairs and things. And then we give a little bag of plastic bugs to go with the book.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So it's a cute little gift.
You want to mention that email again in case somebody wants to get a hold of you directly about a copy?
Yes, it's ccarpinello@mac.com. And I could only get him to do 10 bugs, and so we had a lot of blank pages in the back, and so I said, Cameron, we can't do this. He said, yeah, we can, Grandma. Let's just tell the kids to take their pictures of their bugs and put them in the book. So that's what the back of the book is for.
Wow. What a cool idea.
Yeah.
And I sell a lot of those bug books.
I'll bet. Yeah.
He went with me one time to sell them, and I was at a Christmas show, and I think we had 12 of his books. He was there an hour and a half and sold all 12 of them.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations, Cameron. And the name of that book is Cameron's Book of Insects by Cheryl Carpinello.
Yep.
All right. So, yeah. Hopefully we'll move some Cheryl Carpinello books today. But hey, Cameron, he could be outselling us all.
He could be, most definitely.
Yeah. So, do you have some advice for other writers out there, Cheryl, especially those who are interested in trying to get young readers interested in their work?
You need to, I was fortunate because I worked with students for 20-some years. You really need to know these young kids. I think that's what's helped me write the books that I do, because I've seen, they try to act like they're very mature and they know what they're doing, but down deep inside, they don't. They are unsure of what life is going to be like. They don't know where they're going. I never saw so many kids afraid and on the verge of tears as at graduation, because all of a sudden now they're done, and they've got to go out and kind of make their own way. And growing up is very scary. It's a lot of fun, but it's also very scary.
Yeah.
And so you need to know who your audience is. Talk to librarians, talk to teachers. If you can go to author fairs, go and talk to those authors and see how they approach their audiences. Like I say, I was very fortunate, and I had those kids. I worked with them every single day, and so to relate to the younger kids really wasn't a problem.
Well, good.
So then, before we wrap this up, Cheryl, how can people find you? How can they contact you? Website, social media,
I have
YouTube
my
channel?
website. Yeah, CherylCarpinello.com is my website. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on, what else is there out there? I'm on TikTok, but I don't know enough about TikTok, so I don't do a very good job there.
Instagram,
Twitter. You know,
what's your Twitter handle?
It's C. Carpinello.
Okay, it's easy enough to remember.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. You know, there's so many. When I first started out, there was only MySpace. So that was pretty darn easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I started out, there was no space. Enter what?
Yeah. So, you know, it's so. But yeah, I'm on most of the platforms. I don't always get to them all the time, but I try.
Yeah. And how about that email one more time, just so we make sure everybody's got it?
Okay, it's ccarpinello@mac.com.
Great. Okay, people, we've been talking to Cheryl Carpinello. Check out all of her stuff. Check out her grandson's book. But right now, we're really pushing this cool audio book narrated by movie star Ethan Drew. It's called The King's Ransom by Cheryl Carpinello. So it's been a hoot having you on the show, Cheryl.
Thank you. I really enjoyed this.
Well, thank you for coming back. We appreciate that.
Okay, people, this was a rare week where we had 2 episodes back-to-back. That's probably not going to be happening anymore. But next week at our usual Wednesday time, we're going to have B.A. Johnson. She's the one who's the author of the illustrated chapter books, Sassy Discovers the AME Church and Sassy Uncovers Peter Allen's Secret. And she's the author of the illustrated chapter book, Pandemonium in Puzzle Town, which we're trying to have out sometime next week or not too much long after. Now, who got after that, team?
After that, we've got the return of Trenton Bennett. He's going to come on and talk about audiobooks and how to get involved in all of that, and he's probably going to talk about some of Robert G. Williscroft's books that he's done, turned into audiobooks, and should be a lot of interesting information there. And after that, all the way from Mumbai, India, live, meaning that she's going to be up really late or up really early in order to do this show, we're going to have Visa Pathan. We've known Visa for many, many years. We've been in clubs with her. She's written reviews, great reviews of some of our books, and we've been a fan of hers. We even helped her out and made a book trailer for her one time. So Visa Pathan is going to be live from Mumbai, India in 3 weeks, and we're really looking forward to that show. And who we got after that, Dean? And after that, we've got another return. This is a couple of guests, Rob and Joan Carter. They have a podcast on the hour before this one, so they're going to be jumping from theirs to ours on that night, and those are always fun times. And they're a fun couple. They're into the paranormal, ghost hunting type of stuff, but they write really cool books, and they've got a new book out. So we're going to talk to them about podcasting and books and probably some ghost hunting. And just have a good time with it.
Yep. So everybody, check out that new audio book by Cheryl Carpinello, The King's Ransom, narrated by Ethan Drew. And if you missed this episode or know somebody who missed this episode and they're interested in Cheryl, her work, or especially about reaching middle grade readers, check our archives and make sure that you spread the word about this show as well. So thanks for being on the show again, Cheryl.
Thanks, Daryl.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, and we'll see everybody next week with B.A. Johnson.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
You're listening to The Voice of Indy.
You've been a part of Voice of Indy, a production of Fresh Ink Group. Spread the word, support our guests, then find us at freshinkgroup.com and be sure to hashtag Fresh Ink Group.